Well, hello and good morning. I'm Charu Shankar and you're watching WION Breakfast.
I'm Satya Gandham. Yes, it is a wonderful morning and we're watching WION Breakfast. Charu, tell us what's been happening all these days. Looks like a lot of action happening around here, huh?
Yes, that's true. Satya, of course, has been on a very quick
break.
Little bit of a break. But yeah, we've been keeping the action going here on WION Breakfast and we have a very exciting lineup of stories this morning.
Totally looking forward. And I can also see that we have only one mug. It looks like, Charu, you have forgotten to keep coffee for me these days. Completely
Sorry, you can share my tea if you want, Satya.
Sharing is caring. Yes, that's
Sharing
right.
is caring. Well, before moving forward with the show, here are the heads up this morning.
On WION Breakfast this morning, we bring you a story from New Delhi where street children publish newspapers.
And in our world segment, we will talk about an unconventional way to help Alzheimer's sufferers.
And this week we have Aanchal Hans to help you keep fit with her Zumba mantra.
And after Zumba, we also have something for the food lovers. Stay tuned to find out what's on our Quick Bites this morning. Well, our first story today is about children and writing. And you know, Satya, when I was in school, we used to run a newspaper, you know, yeah, we had a really good time putting it together. You know, we used to write our own children's version of what the news sounded like.
Stories, right? It all started going into a newsletter first, and then it started going into, you know, some kind of a newspaper later. You know, this business of putting together a newsletter or a newspaper, it's just taken on different forms over generations. And I'm glad it started off when we were young in school. It's all started from there. Now, every locality, a lot of localities have started bringing out their own newspapers.
Right. No, and I find it very interesting because at least when we were kids, what it allowed us to do was give, you know, our own opinion, our 12-year-old opinion on what was happening around the world.
That's right.
And
Be it small little stories or poems or just jokes or just thoughts. It was lovely to give expression, to let a child give expression to his or her own thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. And we used to have a lot of fun with it. We used to make our own crosswords, and I mean, we just really went the whole hog. But here in New Delhi now, a group of street children are putting together their struggles on the front page by publishing a monthly newspaper. Take a look.
Business as usual at an editorial meeting in Delhi, except that all these reporters are homeless children. Balaknama, or the Children's Journal, is a newspaper aimed at highlighting their plight. And with issues ranging from child marriage, sexual abuse to drug use, there is no shortage of stories.
When the Balaknama reports arrive and the team sits down to select the stories, lots of fights break out. They say this story will have more impact than that story. So there's a lot of debates before the final Balaknama print is chosen.
According to charities, there are tens of thousands of children living on the streets of Delhi. The monthly 8-page paper, founded in 2002, now employs 70 of them. And for activists, it is a vital tool in their development.
They feel very empowered and encouraged when people appreciate them. And when they talk to the authorities with the confidence and also before the media, I think this is a really powerful tool to empower them.
With 5 siblings and a jobless alcoholic father, 16-year-old Jyoti Kumari's childhood was a daily struggle. Now she earns money, and like all the budding reporters, she's enrolled in a distance learning program.
I used to beg, do drugs, and sometimes go rag picking. Then I learnt about Balaknama and began to work for it. First I was a junior reporter, then a reporter, and now I'm all set to become the editor.
The publication reaches around 10,000 people. Most of them, like Jyoti's mother, are illiterate and have to have the news read to them.
What I couldn't do, at least my daughter is doing. She's helping others, and she's also helping us.
The paper is sold for around 3 cents, less than the price of a small cup of tea. A modest sum, but one which is helping to offer these children a glimpse at an alternative future.
Well, before moving ahead with the breakfast show, there's a little bit of breaking news, Charu, and here's an update on the breaking news regarding the Jallikattu spot in the southern state of Tamil Nadu. Police have started clearing the pro-Jallikattu protesters from Chennai's Marina Beach.
That's right. Earlier, police had asked the protesters on Marina Beach to leave the protest venue. But the protesters, however, are threatening to even commit suicide if the police forcefully remove them from Marina Beach.
Protesters were seen singing the national anthem, Jana Gana Mana, as police was trying to remove them from the beach. So far, the police has successfully cleared off parts of the beach. Many Jallikattu protesters are demanding the support of the student body of India. We are joined by our correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran. Ramesh, if you can hear us, what is the current situation on the ground now?
Satya, police have descended in large numbers on Marina Beach here in Chennai this morning. Today happens to be the 8th day of the protest here in Chennai on Marina Beach. The police are requesting, urging, appealing the protesters to vacate the Marina Beach venue and to allow things to come to a normal. We're expecting the assembly to meet anytime this morning to introduce a bill as an extension of the ordinance on Jallikattu, but the protesters are demanding a more permanent solution to their demands. They say the ordinance or a bill introduced by the state government in the assembly could be challenged legally in the Supreme Court. So the one permanent solution that they have in mind is to remove the bull from the performing animals list of the PCA and to amend the the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, so that the solution can be found once and for all. That's the situation at the moment. And after 8 days of protest, I'm afraid things could turn ugly if the protests continue in the face of opposition from the state police. Satya?
Ramesh, as the live visuals come in, we can see that the volumes of people who've gathered there are like huge. How tense is the situation right now? What's the security arrangement? Could you give us an update on that?
Absolutely, Satya. This has been a peaceful protest so far. And while driving into Chennai last night, incidentally at 1:30 a.m. in the morning, I could still see odd motorcyclists and scooterists carrying the banned beta placard on them. So that should give you an indication of the sense of the mood in Chennai this morning, even as we speak. And as we've been reporting here on WION, police have descended in large numbers on the Marina Beach, asking the protesters to vacate the Marina Beach. Things could get ugly. Well, I mean, that's the apprehension on the state government's part, because the protesters are no mood to relent just yet. They want a categorical assurance, an indication, an intent of goodwill on the part of the state government that they will indeed go ahead and introduce the bill and also amend the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, which they say can be a more permanent solution to their demands. It is a question or a mix of Tamil pride, of Tamil culture versus the rigors or the demands of NGOs such as PETA and People for Animals. So that's the situation, tense moment in Chennai this morning, and it remains to be seen how the events pan out through the day. Satya?
Yes, Ramesh, we can see that we can actually feel the tension in the air right there. Now, again, as the live visuals come in, we know that an ordinance has been passed. We know the protesters are protesting against it. We know they want a rule about Jallikattu. Now, what exactly do these protesters want?
Satya, as we've been reporting here on WION, they want a permanent solution for once and for all. They need this issue to be put to rest. And they fear that the state government's first priority is to get them to vacate the Marina Beach, the protest venue, which they are not ready to do just yet. They are waiting for an indication, a categorical assurance from the government that all of their demands will be met. So they're waiting for the first indication to come out from the State Assembly later today, where the bill as an extension of the ordinance will be introduced in the Assembly today, because mind you, the ordinance will be valid only for the first 6 months. So they fear that all these ordinances or bills introduced by the state government could be challenged legally. So what they're demanding is a more permanent solution. They want the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act to be amended suitably, which will offer them one permanent solution. So that's what the protesters are demanding. They're also demanding action or a ban on organizations such as PETA, which they say do not conform to Tamil pride, Tamil culture, Tamil traditions. They say, and this is having a domino effect in other states, where like Maharashtra, Karnataka, where they are asking for similar demands to introduce the various sports which involve animals, bulls, cows, and cocks. So that's the situation obtaining in Chennai this morning. It remains to be seen, as we've been saying here on WION, how it eventually pans out. The police, for their part, are trying to get the people to vacate the venue. There are fears of an unruly law and order situation, arising if the protesters stick to their guns. Satya?
Ramesh, stay with us. Charu and I have been talking about this in several stories where Charu, we talked about how some sports or some festivals or some cultural events are so much part of our culture that in the more recent times it could it's either affecting some sentiment of it could be, in terms of Jallikattu, for instance, it's harmful, it's cruelty towards animal, and there's so many sentiments associated with it. At the same time, it has a very large, huge, deeply embedded cultural context. What are your thoughts about, how something like this kind of clashes with the public sentiment, the law pretty much being taken in the hands of the public at a time like this?
Well, clearly it means a lot to these people, because look at the crowds at Marina Beach. They're massive crowds, and you can really feel the tension, even sitting so many miles away. And Ramesh, of course, is on the site, and I'm sure that he can tell us more about it. But just sitting here and looking at the screen, one can see that everybody's very tense. Everybody is. So what's happening here?
Oh, it's. Interesting. I think it's the protesters who have been hurt. Remember, there's a very, very large group of protesters protesting against the ordinance. Also, interestingly, this has been the venue for the Republic Day celebration. Now, Ramesh, if you're still with us, the police wants to remove them before the Republic Day celebrations. Now, is there any other venue that the protesters are thinking of going to? What are your thoughts on this?
Satya, Republic Day celebrations is also one of the things weighing on the police and the state administration's mind. But let's be honest, the first priority for the state police is to get the protesters to relent, to vacate, to call off their protest. And Satya, just by the way, one more indication of the mood across Tamil Nadu you can have from the fact that after the ordinance was passed on Saturday, the Chief Minister went all the way from Chennai to Alaganallur to reintroduce the sport of Jallikattu, but the protesters there did not allow the Chief Minister of the state to reach the venue of the program. So the protesters there say that if we allow the Chief Minister to inaugurate Jallikattu, that would give out the signal that everything is well, all is fine in Tamil Nadu, and protesters can go back to where they came from. And that the protesters, they do not want to send out the message just yet. They're insisting on a permanent solution. They want the government to amend the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act, and they're sticking by it. They are not in any mood to relent just yet. Satya?
Thank you, Ramesh. We will keep coming back to you for more updates through the day. But for now, we will take a very short break at this point. We will come right back. So come right back to join us on WION Breakfast. Lots more lined up for you today. Hello there, you're welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast. Now, Charu, I have to mention this to you. Sejal and I, when she was filling in for you in one of those times that you had taken a short break, and we were talking about the art of letter writing and how it's almost like a thing of the past.
It is like the lost art of letter writing, isn't it?
There is. Now, I'm wondering, when did you last write a letter?
Oh my God. No, I don't remember. That's so weird. I have no idea.
It is indeed a thing of the past.
Yeah, I think nowadays all you end up really writing are like thank you notes.
And emails.
That's about it. And emails. And
messages
emails are
and
so
chats.
not like letters.
Well, in a Romanian town on the Danube River, three sisters in love with great writing jumped for joy whenever the postman delivered a new letter from giants Mark Twain, Emily Zola or Jules Verne. Take a look.
This county library in the Romanian port city of Galati is the home of a curious tale of three sisters who devoted their lives to reading and building a treasure trove of autographs and photos of some of the world's literary giants. The letters of Schwartz sisters Antoine, Ravenna and Amelia are stored in a secure vault, an impressive collection from writers like Jules Verne, Mark Twain and Emile Zola.
This is a unique approach, unprecedented for the time. The correspondence dates back from the late 19th to the early 20th century. The letters are invaluable internationally because they were written by global cultural personalities.
More than 700 of the personal letters have been preserved, as well as some photographs which themselves were very rare at the time. The Schwartz sisters were of Jewish origin, and exchanges on anti-Semitism had a special place in the letters. At the height of the Dreyfus affair that divided France, Captain Alfred Dreyfus, a young French soldier of Jewish descent, was wrongly convicted for treason, and it later emerged that his sentencing was purely rooted in anti-Semitism.
These are social, political topics. There was also a correspondence with Mrs. Dreyfus about the Dreyfus affair and with the famous French archaeologist Solomon Reinach.
The three sisters, none of whom had families themselves, founded the Lumina charity to help children in difficult situations of both Jewish and non-Jewish origins. Some of their letters appealed to influential correspondents to speak out against the plight of Jews who were being expelled from their homes in Romania.
Ravenna Schwarz a avut o corespondență cu celebrul arheolog Salomon Reinach.
Ravenna Schwarz had a correspondence with the famous French archaeologist Solomon Reinach, during which he financially helped the Lumina charity.
Salomon Reinach a ajutat societatea Lumina prin sume de bani.
The sisters may not have realised the value of their lifelong collection to visitors and European cultural heritage as a whole, and little did they know that they would leave their own literary legacy behind.
You know, not only does the art of letter writing sound so much a part of the past and not as much of the present, even in the story that we just saw, the writing, the names, I mean, everything, it's just reminiscent of an era gone by.
That's true, that's true. And the world has wonderful memories of this
That's right.
era.
And those memories are, you know, it's just so hard to hold on to those memories because everything, even the paper that is used, the pen, the ink pen that's used, it's all just part of a certain time that everything was just intrinsically a part of. It's all, I mean, we run the risk of just losing it in from our memories.
That's true. That's true. That's the kind of
it's almost like an Alzheimer's disease that we're all going through.
That's true, Satya. Well, you know, Alzheimer's is one of the worst diseases that can afflict a human being because of the fact that you lose your memories. But Alzheimer's sufferers do find it difficult to recall recent events and can easily feel isolated and lonely for just that reason. But one association in Stratford-upon-Avon in the UK is using poetry and song to recover long-buried memories, giving victims a happier glimpse of the past. How are they doing this? Take a look.
Let us be married, too long we have tarried, but what shall we do for a ring? They sail away.
Miriam and Margaret have Alzheimer's and struggle to remember what happened last week, let alone 10 minutes ago.
Dance by the light of the moon.
But when they hear a few lines from a poem learnt decades ago at school, the memories come flooding back.
We did talk a certain amount of poetry at home, always. I think my aunts knew that when I was small, and my mother, you know, they all knew it, and so I can't remember life without it.
For 4 years, the organisation Kissing It Better has used poetry as a means of fighting memory loss. Young people from local schools here in Stratford-upon-Avon in central England visit the elderly in nursing homes, giving poetry recitals and singing songs.
You can keep your head when...
Oh yes. When they're feeling sad or lonely, or they can't connect very easily. If somebody says a poem that they knew so well 60, 70 years ago, they suddenly smile because they found something that they remember. And when they have that memory, along with it comes the school days, the wartime, the family, the countryside. So it's that important anchor in what is a very bewildering world if you have dementia.
And these recitals don't just benefit those on the receiving end.
I feel like I can give something to the community, and they've given stuff to us, and I want to give it back to them. And I hope in a few years' time, when I'm old, people will come visit me and read to me and sing to me. So,
shall I compare thee to a summer's day?
Stratford-upon-Avon is the birthplace of Shakespeare, and even former actors from the Royal Shakespeare Company take part, reciting sonnets by the bard.
You get something back from them, you see that glimmer in their eye, and it's wonderful when suddenly they join in with a line.
Somewhere over the rainbow, dreams really do come true.
Experts say the use of poetry cannot cure Alzheimer's, but there's no doubt it brings sufferers comfort and with it confidence from a bygone era.
After the same rainbow's end, waiting round the bend, my huckleberry friend, Moon River and Green. Very good.
Wow, what a lovely story there. Using song, using poetry to actually revive memories that have long been dead or gone or become a disease.
From the
really.
past. It's from the past into the present, and the past really being a healing factor in the lives of these people who are suffering from Alzheimer's.
Absolutely. What a lovely, lovely initiative. Well, with that, it's time for us to slip into a quick break, but do stay tuned because when we come back, Satya and I will be picking up the papers and reading between the lines. Well, welcome back. Before we pick up the newspapers for WION Breakfast this morning, it's time to look at the headlines this hour.
Two killed and dozens injured in Jallikattu. Protests should be called off for now, say the big names behind the movement. Say they have faith in the state government.
There's also a police crackdown at Marina Beach right now as we speak. India's apex court to hear a plea today, seeking the postponement of union budget presentation ahead of the upcoming assembly polls in 5 states.
And Palestinians protest against US President Donald Trump's pledge to move the US embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Well, those, of course, were the headlines this hour. But now, let's see what else the newspapers have for us as Satya and I read between the lines. Well, Satya, I think protests.
It's protests all around.
What the morning is all about. We just had some breaking news coming in from Tamil Nadu.
That's right.
There's a huge protest against Jallikattu at the Marina Beach. and it's threatening to get pretty bad out there.
It's
massive
yeah,
crowds,
it seems to
tensions
be
are high, emotions
deteriorating.
are running high. It's looking
well, the good news
bad.
is that situation is under control. The police have kind of cracked down on the protesters and kind of hope to get the situation under control.
Well,
it's protests all the time. What to say?
Well, there's also a massive protest happening around the world. Now, I'm looking at the DNA. This is the DNA, and it says, what drove women to join marches around the world? US President Trump's repeated sexist comments pushed women to protest across the world. Now, I mean, just look at this image.
Come on.
Look at the number of people in this march. Now, and look at some of the signs that they have there. My body, not yours. Now, the US President, Donald Trump, has over the years sort of made some terrible, outrageous sexist comments about women, including some sort of a, I don't know, he was raving about how he likes to grab women by their genitalia.
Is this the president of
so bizarre.
a country? I mean, is this the linguistics which we associate with the president of the country? Now, look at these are visuals from Germany. I mean, there are protests all around
the world today.
Yeah,
that's
our
right.
rights.
Now there are protests that are happening in London as well, and this is of course Berlin, and all across America, in Washington especially. Now hundreds and thousands of women took to the streets in cities around the world on Saturday in opposition to US President Donald Trump, a day after his inauguration. Sister March sponsors boasted some 670 gatherings around the world in solidarity with the Washington event, estimating a global turnout of more than 4.6 million participants. Now 4.6 million is quite a large number, and of course there are, you know, people have come out. They're not just marching, but there are talks.
That's
you know, Madonna has spoken, and quite a few other celebrities are coming out and speaking. We have visuals here.
We are talking about a massive protest movement over here. I mean, look at that Women's March from Frankfurt. It's a massive protest.
What have you done, America? Well,
what have you done? Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Well, now what does Donald Trump have to say about this? Well, there's another report here in the DNA. It says President Trump mocks women protesters. The US president undermines protests, but within 90 minutes, he defends the demonstrators' rights. So Donald Trump, of course, came at the first tweet that we had from his handle, said, watched protest yesterday, but was under the impression that we just had an election, ! Why didn't these people vote? Celebs hurt cause badly. This is what he said early Sunday morning in a Twitter post. And this was his administration's first post about the Women's March. And this came from his Twitter handle,
quite telling.
Real Donald Trump, not the Twitter handle of the President of the United States. So this was his own personal statement. But less than 2 hours later, Trump tweeted again, and he said, peaceful protests are a hallmark of our democracy. Even if I don't always agree, I recognize the rights of people to express their views.
This is a complete turnaround. After having assumed that the people out on the streets who are protesting have actually not gone and voted.
Yeah.
Come on, this is national television. I mean, this is international television here.
Yes.
I do want to, maybe I should just write a letter to Donald Trump. You know, we're going back to our letter writing skills. I think I'm going to practice. I am going to go back to the good old art of letter writing and write a long
Donald Trump, you're getting a letter from Satya and
That's right.
All right, well, looks like these protests are, of course, going to continue. I for one, don't think we've seen the last of these protests. I don't think any of these protests are going down anytime soon.
What's there to say? I mean, this is not even a conversation. This is not even a subject we should be talking about at a time like this. We've just been through the elections.
Yes.
Anyway, it's really not the most popular or the most anticipated outcome. But, well, you know what? It's democracy.
Yeah, I know you were saying that today. But I mean, obviously the people are speaking still. If 4.6 million people are out there expressing their views on something, then that too is a democratic expression, which is of course what Donald Trump, retweeted again. But I do understand your point. I mean, democracy is democracy, and one of the biggest sort of stalwarts of democracy in our century is the election.
That's right.
And he won fair and square.
Really. I know. I mean, for better or for worse, for good or for bad, he's here.
He's here. Well,
There you go.
Nothing more to say after that.
Nothing more to say after that.
All right, well, I have another article here. Now, of course, we know that the JLF is happening in India and it's quite the buzz.
Yes.
JLF is, of course, the Jaipur Literary Festival. It's in its 10th edition.
That's a Z Jaipur Literary Festival.
Jaipur Literary Festival. And it is huge this year.
Sure.
And so they had many things happening at Digi Palace. We've had wonderful musical events, wonderful talks. But here's something that really caught my interest. Zuni Chopra and Anusha Subramaniam get conversational at the Jaipur Literary Festival talking about books, boys and studies. And these are two teenagers who are telling tales at the JLF. They're both teenagers
Lovely.
and published authors.
Oh, wonderful.
Zuni is 15. She has 3 books to her name, and Anusha has 2 novels. The last one, Never Gone, was out in November last year. And yeah, they have famous parents. You know, Anusha's father is the famous writer Ravi Subramaniam, and Zuni's father is the film producer Vidhu Vinod Chopra. And yeah, they're talking about.
You know, it's
they had a
always
really
interesting to
conversation.
understand what teens are thinking. You know, somehow as adults, there's only so much you can understand about what's going on in a teenager's mind or what his or her interests are. But for a teenager to actually come out into the open and write about what affects her understanding, what she understands or he understands from the world around. Is the world making any sense
Absolutely.
to the teenagers?
Absolutely.
I think it's really, really important. I'm glad that we have these 2 teenagers in a literary festival, and it's really an international literary festival. People from all over the world come in, and the teenagers have a place out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you've said that, because actually those teenage years are your most formative years, and that's the time when there are so many different emotions, you know, playing absolute tumultuous chaos happening inside your heart and your soul. You know, you're torn. You feel everything with so much intensity. You feel love with so much intensity.
That's
you feel
correct.
hatred with so much. Everything is like magnified.
It's like living on the edge sometimes.
It's living on the edge completely. And you know, so for teenagers to actually be able to like discipline themselves and put down all their feelings onto paper into a really interesting format, such as a novel.
That's
I mean, you know, that requires tremendous discipline and
having it published, another achievement.
Absolutely.
Big congratulations.
Absolutely.
I mean, just to see it out there is a huge achievement.
Well, Jaipur Literary Festival really has been fantastic this year, as it has been every year. But seeing it in its 10th year, seeing it literally grow year to year has been such a pleasure.
Absolutely,
so really
totally
big congratulations to everybody who put it together. But what do you have for us, Satya?
Oh, well, I have some good news coming out of India. Coming soon. I'm looking at the Indian Express front page article. Coming soon, first of its kind, Indian Sign Language Dictionary.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Indian Sign Language.
Indian Sign Language Dictionary. Now, there have been sign language dictionaries of in other countries. Look at that. Members of the team working on the dictionary.
So how is this different from you know, a regular sign language dictionary?
Well, you know, I'll just get to that. It's actually addressed in this article. 6,000 words have been compiled in languages specific to Indian context. Now, there are lots of cultural issues, there are cultural context, a lot of regional context, which are very different from the world over. So, the term hearing and speech impaired is a pejorative for Sachin Singh. Now, 2 case studies have been taken up. I'm deaf and I have my own language. From where I stand, those who cannot understand my language suffer an impairment.
I like that.
I like that.
I like
very,
that.
very true. Now, look at that. I mean, these are the sign languages, and these are pretty much the universal signs that we see whenever we were talking in the sign language. Now,
but I'm glad that they are, you know, going to be sort of making the modifications to this, because actually regional languages and specifically Indian languages can be quite complicated in terms of meaning, in terms of just the sheer number and volume of words.
Absolutely.
You're
right.
It's definitely quite a complicated system of communication.
You're right. Now, here is one small little example they give. Efforts are still on to come up with signs for abstract words as researchers ponder over how to depict the befuddling trigonometry. Trigonometry, I mean, there's this mathematics, there's trigonometry. Now, again, like I said, part of it is universal. It is still international. everyone can follow those signs. But when it comes to really, really specific regional context, that's when this Indian Sign Language Dictionary comes to most help. Now, for most of the researchers, now here is something which totally touches my heart. For most of the researchers, many of whom are either deaf themselves or are siblings or children of deaf persons, the final product would be more than just a dictionary. Now, Sachin, the case study we were talking about earlier, as he puts it, through gestures, and as Sachin puts it, through gestures, people could interpret it would be an acknowledgement of their linguistic identity.
Wow, wow. I really like that. I think definitely linguistics is an identity in itself. But unfortunately, that's all we have time for right now. We can, of course, go on and on. There's such interesting articles. Just this language article, you know, raises so many questions.
That's right.
But it's time for us to move on with the show. We have to slip into a quick break, but stay with us because on WION Breakfast, we're coming back with fitness, we're coming back with food, and some very interesting news from the social media, so stay tuned.
Welcome back. You're with us on WION Breakfast, and it's now time for stretching.
That's right.
Stretching ourselves.
WION Stretch, our fitness segment, and this week we bring you Zumba.
Good morning, I'm Achal Hans. Today we're going to begin with Merengue track. It's a very high rhythm, it's super fun, super easy to follow. All I want to do is follow my lead and have a smile on your face.
Let me see you do it. Let me see you. Pop it, drop it, lock it. 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 Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Ay, fuego la pista, rompe, 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 rompe. Menea duro más, como ese booty choca, como ese booty choca. Your body go, I'm talking stop, drop and roll, a little low, a little low, a little low.
that is the way, Charu, I want to say, you need to protest.
Yeah, I agree. So, you know, we had this movement called 1 Billion Rising, and we protested with dance.
And I'm
we
going to
started it the
use
year of Nirbhaya, and we've been having it every Valentine's Day since then. 1 Billion Rising, and it's a protest through dance.
more power
Wherever
to
you
that.
are, you dance.
More power to that.
Absolutely.
May dance be an expression of protest.
Yes.
Just as it is for everything else.
Yep.
But you know, one wrong move can ruin the dance.
That's true.
One wrong move can ruin the message.
That's true. And one wrong letter can ruin the movie. And that is what our hashtag on Twitter is that we found for you. One letter, wrong movie. One letter, wrong movie. That's the Twitter hashtag. Now, I'm very curious to know. Pump Fiction? Oopsie.
Pump Fiction?
One
David,
letter wrong.
Pump Fiction indeed. Pump it up, yo. Pump
Totally
it up.
different movie. Nice one, David.
Philip says, a fridge too far. A bridge too far becomes a fridge too far. I love it. You know what? I'm falling in love with the one letter wrong movies.
I think this is very funny. A fridge too far. Okay, John says Jurassic Pork. What? One letter wrong, totally wrong movie.
Yeah, tell that
You're
tell
gonna
that to
fry
all
those
those
T-Rexes.
animals out there. Shiv Kumar Yadav says, waiting for this movie, which is Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Wings.
Lord of the Wings. Oh my
Chicken
God.
wings from KFC.
Seriously.
Favorite. Okay, Jordan says Token versus Taken.
Oh, you know, I did wonder what was
Token.
this movie. Dakota Kaput says The Great Gatsby.
Oh no, that's so bad.
But I have to say the picture is a perfect picture that goes with The Great Gatsby.
No, I love him. Okay, Timmy says The Hunger Games. Oh,
The Hunger Games.
that's very funny. The Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games. Little Onion. Johnny B. Hood.
Johnny B. Hood.
No, come on. This is the time when where's that? Christian says Pilates of the Caribbean.
That's
is
an
lovely.
entirely different movie. Johnny Depp doing 100 Pilates.
I know, and that would be a movie in its own right.
Totally.
You know, we have to have the Pilates of the Caribbean.
Pilates of the Caribbean. Okay. Michael says Sheepless in Seattle.
Yeah,
I
thank God
think
for that.
Seattle is sheepless, so
There you
that would be
go.
a pretty boring film. It'll have just one frame.
I know.
So if you're
Sheepless.
Seattle, it's sheepless.
Anyway, you're without sleep, now without sheep. Okay, lie hard.
Die Hard, that's funny. Instead of Die Hard.
Die Hard, you have Lie Hard.
Die Hard is a totally
You know, I
action
like that.
film
I like that.
and,
I like Lie Hard.
Die Hard becomes like something that is totally the opposite of an action film.
I know. I think it should be the name of a book now. Lie Hard.
Die Hard.
I like it.
All right. Well,
Today,
we're
I
brimming
endorse
with,
it.
Okay, Satya's brimming with great ideas, but with this, I think we should totally unmic ourselves. But do connect with us via Twitter. Tweet to us at WION Breakfast or to our individual Twitter handles. And of course, we will see you on WION Breakfast tomorrow. I'm Charu Shankar.
I'm Satyashri Gandham, and you were watching WION Breakfast. We leave you with a few visuals from India Art Festival.